Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
So I was completely disengaged from the world of politics last week because I was doing my day job off in a different state, and so that was when I came back to it this weekend. Boy, was I in for a surprise.
Yeah. Look, we were off last week. It was nice. I didn't have to hard dig in and read. I was just sort of tangentially reading. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're shipping migrants around the country. That's cool. That's great. That's not going to backfire in anyone's face. No. And then it just somehow got worse from there. I had been last week. I didn't want to dig too much into it. I just wanted to hear the good nuggets of the Trump special master situation. And it was like, oh, this is really good. This is really fun and interesting. And then this week it was like, oh, it's getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And I was like, oh, well, we're back this week. This is perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we got a nice surprise from New York to put Trump and his whole family right in the middle of, as I coined it in our chat, a legal gangbang that's going on right now.
I mean, he's getting it from all sides. Ugh, yikes. So, all right. So let's get right into it. The first obviously big one is I want a special master. I want a special master. Wait, not like that. So Donald Trump got he got what he asked for, right? I mean, this guy is notorious for playing "You Can't Always Get What You Want" by the Rolling Stones at his rallies. Well, irony has come home.
Also weirdly and somewhat appropriate now with a lot of the news that's been going on, apparently plays the Undertaker's theme music, which is the funeral dirge.
Yeah, a bit weird. A bit weird. But yes, he also does that. And a weird remix of Hogan's Real American. Which look, I'm a little happy he's using it because it's kind of great. For a politician, not him. I'd rather another politician use that. But that's how did no one use that all these years?
It's like we discussed. That should be the president's song. Now, the fact that he's using it puts a little bit of a damper on that idea.
All I can see is that meme of Hogan writing the N. That's all I can see, which very well might be the photoshopped image for this week. It's pretty good. So so he did get, in fact, what he wanted. So he got his special master, because he asked Judge Cannon, look, I need the special master to determine what's classified and what's not, and what's executive privilege and what's not.
Yeah, right? Forgetting the fact, by the way, that the classification of the documents is not even really the issue at hand. It's the fact that he has the documents. But like you said, he wanted a special master to review the privilege status of stuff. And not only did he get a special master, they got the one that they requested as well. They asked for Raymond Dearie to be the special master. Why, I don't know. I didn't get any information as to why they wanted him specifically.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because I guess by all accounts, Dearie is kind of a hard ass. Mm-hmm. And I guess they thought maybe he would be a hard ass against the feds, but in favor of a president, right? I guess he thought he's got respect for the executive or something. I feel, and I've long said this, and I don't have any proof of this, but I've long said this. It's I'm sure that Trump read the first half of a Nixon biography, and and he was don't need to read anymore. Nailed it. This guy's got all the fucking moves, right?
What a smart move, getting guys to break into the hotel to steal information. That's brilliant maneuvering on his part.
I don't need to read anymore. I got it. And it just closes the book, right? And very similarly with Dearie, Dearie's also an older guy, right? And so I think that there's part of it thinking, maybe he'll be kind of I'm too old, I believe in the president, that type of bullshit, right? But again, reading half the story and not reading the other half, right? Dearie worked on the FISA court. what are you doing? Like, the FISA court, by all accounts, as someone said, is like a rubber stamp for the feds. Like, when they come to the FISA court, they're like, hey, man, we need to do a wiretap on Osama bin terrorist.
It's got to stay secret.
Right,
no one can know about it.
Right, and it's got to be done right now. The FISA court, unless there is some really egregious shit, the FISA court rubber stamps it, right? And that doesn't mean that these things that they're rubber stamping are bullshit or anything like that, but they generally don't get brought cases by the federal government that are nonsense, right? So their respect for those agencies coming to them and asking for permission is pretty high because, one, the bar is high, and they almost always meet that bar, right? So, just inevitably, they're like, yeah, of course, right? So this guy understands what it's like to work around secrets. This guy understands the urgency. He understands national security urgency, things like that. Why you would pick him is beyond me. Like, and so much like an idiot, they picked him. And again, both sides needed to agree on this, right?
Yeah.
The Trump side was like, we want Raymond Dearie. And the feds were like, okay, like, we agree. Like, there should have been like, wait, whoa. You know what? We changed our mind. Like, you guys aren't even fighting. Like, no.
Always suspicious when someone accepts your first offer. It's like,
right. Exactly.
Have I just been bamboozled?
Like, we'll take it. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
And so they got him. And basically he's like, listen, I'm going to need you to go ahead to Trump's lawyers. Like, all right, you guys said that this stuff was declassified. I'm going to need you to, like, tell me how you did it. Write it down.
Show me proof.
And he was like, ooh, we can't do that. And he's like, well, you could just do a signed affidavit. And they're like, ooh, the way our crimes are set up, we're not really into doing that. And so they refused to tell the special master that they wanted. Mm-hmm. They refused to tell the special master based on the idea that in case Trump is indicted, they don't want to give away their legal strategy. Yes. That's their strategy here, is like, in case our guy gets indicted, we don't want to tell the feds we're going to try to beat him. It's like,
yeah. Also, we need you to sign an affidavit. We can't. Well, why not? Because we'd be lying. Like, it's not. We can't do that.
Like, why won't you sign the affidavit? Because it's devastating to our case. Like, I mean, the only reason a lawyer and a client would not want to sign a signed affidavit to prove their argument, not to quote unquote disprove the other side's, but to prove their argument, is because once it's down on paper, there's no getting out of it. Right? Like, there's no like weaseling out. Well, like, if I said it, well, I actually meant this. No, if you wrote it down, you meant what you wrote. And if they write it down, they're in a world of trouble because they will immediately perjure themselves.
And we're at the point now that, like, Dearie's even saying, like, if you can't provide any basis of fact, like that these documents are declassified, or even the suggestion, he's like, I'm not even going to look at the documents. Like, I'm just going to be like,
yeah, the government.
It's a wrap.
Yeah. Like, that is a devastating line. Like, I don't even need to look at the documents if you can't tell me why I should believe you. If you're saying that we declassified them and you can't tell me how, no, it's because you never did. Because, again, this is the difference, and this is why a courtroom matters so much more than television, right? Mm-hmm. On TV, you can push narratives, you can say anything, and you don't need proof. Especially if you're a Republican, you don't need proof. You can just say, well, yeah, he declassified. I've seen tons and tons of conservatives repeat that line on social media. He declassified it. Now, when push comes to shove, when you are in a courtroom with a judge and they go, show me how you declassified it, they go, we can't show you that. Yeah, because you didn't. Didn't. Like, what the fuck? Like, so it's kind of hilarious. And then Dearie also made the point of, like, Trump was saying that the documents aren't classified. Like, don't believe the federal government that are saying they're classified, like, because they're not. necessarily
Mhm.
classified. And he goes, the fact that they say classified on them tells me that they're classified. Like, and if that's true, then the obvious, like, next part of that is, without them saying it, is that means the government owns those documents.
Yeah.
They can't classify a document they don't own. And one of the things that came out this week, which is crazy, I literally read it and burst out laughing while I was at work. They're now making the point that, well, on some of the documents, Trump might have made some notes, like scribbled some notes on it, and those are executive privilege. So henceforth, those documents belong to him. What? So if I go into a bank and I just write my name on a couple of dollar bills, I can take those?
I own these dollars now.
I own them. My name is on it.
These hundreds are mine.
Yeah,
my name's right there.
Like, what are you talking about? I scribbled some nonsense onto a document, so now it's mine? Like, what are you, like a kid? Like, well, I licked this apple, it's mine now. Like, no, dude, that's not how it works. So,
and then the right hook following this stiff jab was just mere hours before we came on. The Justice Department, which applied for a stay in Judge Cannon's ruling, saying that they couldn't view the materials while this was being adjudicated. A three judge panel, including 2 Trump appointees, by the way, said no, they can absolutely view the documents while this is going on. And furthermore, we can't figure out how the fuck Judge Cannon arrived at her ruling in the first place. Like, there's literally no basis in law for her decision.
Gotta love it. I mean, look, so the 11th Circuit has 11 judges on it. How it works, if folks aren't aware, they pick 3 random judges. Like, I think 6 of the 11 are Trump appointees, and they pick at random 3. And so they pick these 3 at random, and they are the 3 judges to handle it. And they're like, nah, which is hilarious. But it just goes to show you, there is no guarantee once you put one of these federal judges up on the bench that they're going to do your bidding.
As we've said before, there's literally no reason for them to, because they're literally there for life. You can't do anything to them.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? Impeach a judge for just a general ruling?
Well, and that's the thing. It's not like the president can do it. Congress can.
They're not going to.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead and kick that judge off while Biden's president. Go ahead and see what happens. He's just getting a Biden appointed judge, dude. Like, and he's appointing more judges than Trump. Like, yeah. He's on a fucking roll. Except for his aren't Nazis, and, like, you know, they went to law school. They didn't like sniff the shoes of someone walking out of a courtroom, and they're like, oh, that's close enough. So then I'd be a judge. Like, so yeah. This special master thing. I was like, my attitude was when the special master was like, okay, they're going to name one. My immediate thought, and we talked about this, was this isn't going to much matter because of the speed of which national security things need to go. Mm-hmm. Turns out, like, I was right, but I also didn't think this judge was going to come out fucking guns blazing, like, get this dirty bullshit out of my face, which has been great. Look, Deary has basically said, like, I want to have this shit wrapped up by, like, October 24th. Like, knock it off.
Yeah.
Like,
Harry Levin had the best tweet. He's like, it's the Trump team's bad luck that they actually asked for a real judge.
Mistake. What were you thinking? So, yeah. I just think it's hilarious.
Isn't it fun? I know we talked about this, or we mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Isn't it funny to watch them flail in a situation where they can't just outspend the other side in a court case, where they can't just bully someone out of the courtroom? It's just very entertaining to watch them struggle to keep their head above water.
Yeah, and yes, that, and it's also really fun to watch them get their sort of, like, they not even just outspend, but they just can't bullshit. You can't bullshit a FISA court judge on national security issues. Like, Trump doesn't really understand. I mean, my argument is Trump doesn't really understand classifications and compartmentalize sensitive data and stuff like that. I don't think he understands or cares about any of it.
Mm-hmm.
He certainly doesn't care, but I don't think he really understands it either. Like, apparently he was getting advice. Chris Hayes had a whole thing about this. He was getting advice from like some like weird right-wing guy who's like not an actual lawyer. He just has like a bunch of money, and he's been like around like kind of being a dickhead in politics for like the last like 30 or 40 years. Like he was just listening to that guy over his own lawyers. And like Eric Hirschman, who is apparently going to be a witness for the grand jury, in front of the grand jury, which is not good for Trump.
No, that dude loves looking like a fucking pompous prick.
Oh yeah, no, and like he loves just being like, "Wasn't me." Like, dude, I'm out. Like that guy basically told them, like, listen, don't fuck around with sensitive documents. Like, do not. Like, he is on record of saying that to them, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. It's like, okay, like Eric Hirschman, while an asshole, lives by the J, dude, I told you, lifestyle, which I respect. But I mean,
for those who don't remember, Eric Hirschman was the one telling John Eastman to get himself a good fucking criminal defense attorney.
Yeah. So let me give you some free fucking advice, my guy. Like, every time they show that guy at the January 6th hearing, every time they play those clips, I'm like, this is not the guy you want in front of a grand jury, dude. Like, this is like, this guy has no compunction to protect you, none.
And it's so funny because like all like Hirschman, Pat Cipollone, like there's a lot of guys who like represented Trump through the impeachments that were even like, yeah, this guy's fucking wilding out here. Like you literally represented him getting impeached or getting in the trial to remove him from office, and they were just like, nah, this guy's insane.
Yeah. Like I think Hirschman was like an integral part of the team during the first impeachment, but like by the time the end of Trump's tenure was coming up, like he was just like, no, the only thing I want to hear out of you is peaceful transition, like orderly transition, or orderly transition. Like, nah, like keep saying that shit, because guess what, motherfucker, you're fucked.
Dude, he talked to that man like he was a child. Yeah. Like John Eastman's a grown ass man, and he just like say these words, fucking idiot.
Yeah, and he did. He was like, what did he say? He was like, he said orderly transition. I was like, look, I don't know how like true to the words that story is. I want it to be 100% true. Like, say my name.
I mean, to be fair, like John, like Eric Hirschman looks like physically intimidating. At least that view of the camera that we keep seeing of him does. And John Eastman looks like a dude who anyone could kick his ass. So like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was 100% true.
Orderly transition. That's right. Fucking do it. But yeah, look, him talking to the grand jury in this is going to be disastrous for Trump.
Yeah.
Disaster. So,
and again, in case we also forgot, he still has to answer to his legal troubles in Georgia at some point.
Yeah. Well, and you know, like with all the videos that you're into, there's yet another dick coming from New York. Like, so Tish James has one. She put her strap on and she is ready to go to work on Donald Trump and his family. All of them. Which is kind of, I think that's the stuff Ted Cruz is really into. So yeah, like disaster, man. Like calling for the special master actually made it worse because the way Deary is handling this, it makes it harder for, again, like you mentioned right before we came on, the 11th Circuit judges, they can't just like override what he's saying because it makes too much fucking sense.
Right.
Like you can't just push up any sort of cockamamie bullshit now. But you and I were talking offline, and I was saying that Chris Hayes had kicked up a theory about who's the first judge who granted the special Cannon. He was saying like maybe she did that because she was too scared to tell Trump basically what Deary said. You know, like, and she was just like, oh, I don't want to say it. Let that other guy say it.
Maybe you shouldn't appoint 38-year-old judges with zero experience. I don't know. To federal lifetime appointments.
Listen to Brad. You think you know more than a 38-year-old judge? Get out of here. You don't. She's still doing shots on the weekends, man. Probably. But yeah, like I do like the idea of her just being like, I don't really feel comfortable with that. Let this other guy do it. And Deary was like, yeah, I'll tell you, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, let me punt on this, which makes her look like absolute dog shit. By the way, too, like,
absolutely does.
It's like completely hung her out to dry, which I don't know how she couldn't see coming, but
Yeah, but look, people's personal cowardice is a thing that Trump exploits a lot across his career. Like just not wanting to tangle with him. And look, I get it as a judge. Do you really want to tangle with him? I mean, people will send death threats and everything else, right? So she might be scared. Maybe she's not. I don't know. But it's your job to rule properly no matter what. Like, I don't know, get some security or something. Like, stop being a coward. All right, next up, we're just shipping migrants around like fucking UPS packages.
No. Shipping that's not fair. I feel like accuracy is important on this show. I don't think it's fair to just throw terms flippantly around. Ron DeSantis was involved in human trafficking of migrants. I think that's
asylum seekers.
We have to be accurate.
Yes, we do. So for some reason, these Venezuelan asylum seekers crossed the border in Texas, and immediately Ron DeSantis went into action by
Texas. By the way, Ron DeSantis, notably not the governor of Texas,
right? From Florida, he went to work by getting these people picked up, lying to them, having them be lied to, and then taking 2 charter planes and flying these people to Martha's Vineyard, which is a notably blue area. Yeah, this is pretty illegal. Like even Ted Cruz was forced to admit that on Sean Hannity's show. Like, yeah, from a legal standpoint, it's not really a great idea. Yeah, no shit. And if you're wondering, well, why is it illegal? They're not citizens. That's not how the law works. You can't just do crimes to people who are just not citizens and expect that to be cool. Like,
do people think that that's a thing?
Yes, conservatives definitely think that's a thing. They're dumb. Cool. They're dumb. Brad, come on. This is episode what? Come on. These people don't know shit. These are the same people still arguing, but he declassified the documents. Well, where did he do that? He declared it. Like, I don't know. But here's the problem. They fucked up. I don't know if people is it that Ron DeSantis has never been outside of Florida? Is it that Ron DeSantis doesn't know that Martha's Vineyard is a very, very rich area? I'm sure that he does know that. I know that he knows that it's blue. Does he know that a lot of lawyers go there? Like a lot? As people have been saying, you can't drop off a bunch of asylum seekers on fucking Lawyer Island and not expect something to happen.
Yeah. Notably, one lawyer not there anymore, Alan Dershowitz, because of course he famously was shunned from Martha's Vineyard.
I can't even go to Martha's Vineyard, for God's sake! Like, dude, you were fucking kids. Like you were involved in fucking kids. And he's like, all right, that's fair. So yeah, they decided to pick these people up. What's wild is they literally created fake brochures that took information from the Massachusetts their program to relocate migrants and stuff like that, which these people do not qualify for because they did not come into Massachusetts, right? But correct. They copy and pasted shit out of there to make it seem more real. They told them that they would get work and shelter and all these other things. And they didn't even tell them they were dropping them off at Martha's Vineyard until right before they landed. This is a stunt. I think I can say that. This cost Florida $12 million to do. I don't get conservatives who say they care about that are fiscal conservatives, who back shit like this. This feels really, really silly.
Because somehow they think that it would cost more than $12 million to just, take these people and provide them with some level of assistance, which is laughable because it would cost a fraction of it.
Was there 12 million of them? Like, did you have to pay
there's
more
50.
than $1?
There's 50. And here's the best part. So like you said, he dropped them in the middle of fucking lawyer island, and like all the lawyers there were like, oh, like I'd love to mount Ron DeSantis' head on my fucking wall. Like, let's fucking go.
Yep.
And let's sue them. And Ron DeSantis, when asked about this, when asked to comment on it, had the chutzpah to say, oh, that's just political theater.
So what was this?
I'm just saying.
It amazes me that, by the way, then Greg Abbott did the same thing, right? He's not
gonna let Ron DeSantis one up him.
Of course not. He took asylum seekers and he sent them to DC outside of the vice president's residence. Again, the original Martha's Vineyard fucking drop off, or human trafficking, as you put it, which is accurate. They did that. They didn't tell the people of Massachusetts. They were just like, immigrants, right? Like, they just surprise, motherfucker. But here's the thing. People in Massachusetts and Martha's Vineyard specifically, they just like took care of these people.
Yeah, that's the thing that's kind of befuddling to me. Like, what was the end result here? Like, were you hoping that like all the Richie Riches in Martha's Vineyard would be like, oh, immigrant poors, and kick them out and be like, and then you could be like, see, blue states hate immigrants too. We gotcha. But like, no, they're just like, no, we're gonna do what they can for these people because we're not psychopaths.
Right. Like, you just help people, right? Like, you figure out the systems and how to help them as far as like citizenship, if that's a possibility. These are asylum seekers, so yes. Like, you worry about all that stuff secondary, but in the short term, you just give people food. You just give them shelter because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, that's not even a Christian thing. That's not that shouldn't even be a liberal conservative thing. That should just be a human thing. But conservatives are like, aha, we'll see what they're going to do. And these people were like, we're going to just treat them like people. Like, I guess that's what we're doing.
And then sue you.
Yeah. Like, motherfucker, we're not done. I'm not done with you. Look, granted, we're going to take care of these people, but we're going to fuck you up. Like, we haven't forgotten about that. Like, we're going to make your life a living hell. But it's a really weird take that I bet you're as much of a piece of shit as I am. No, not really. Like, no, we walk the walk, man. Like again, I feel like people don't go to blue cities. These people who are like, the blue cities are the worst and all that. Like, you ever go there? Like, yeah, we got crime. Like, of course, there's crime everywhere, but like, it's generally fine. Like, people try to take care of other people. Like, we got poverty issues and shit like that, but like, you're not just gonna drop a bunch of people like with kids and like babies, and we're just gonna be like, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's never gonna happen. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's just really weird. And the thing shouldn't happen in any part of the country.
Like, DeSantis has those cities in his state. Like, have you been to Miami or Tampa or Jacksonville or like any population center? Or not Tallahassee. Tallahassee's gross. But like, have you been to any?
It's a real place, in your state? Right? No, but those are blue cities. He doesn't fuck with them. No, anything in the Miami-Dade region, he's like, and Broward, he's like, fuck those places, nuke them. Like, he don't give a shit. So it's it's just really funny. This stunt, and it is a stunt. Is getting a class action lawsuit. Three of the migrants are suing for compensatory emotional distress and punitive damages. Good, they should. Not to be outdone though.
This is great. If I may quote, the Joker from the 1989 or 1990 film, I guess it was
89
film
89.
Batman. He stole my balloons.
Trump wanted to bus murderers to Democratic cities, former DHS chief of staff says. He was actually pissed. Trump was quite literally pissed that Ron DeSantis stole his flow. Like, as Soldier Boy would say, he stole my whole fucking flow, like bar for bar. And look, so his plan when he was president, this psychopath was like, he wanted them to pick up people at the border and find out whether they were murderers and rapists. How would you know? I don't know. But he says, quote, he wanted us to identify the murderers, the rapists, and the criminals, and in particular, make sure they did not incarcerate them, but drop them off in blue cities. So your plan as the president was to drop off a bunch of murderers in like regular blue cities so that they could hopefully murder American citizens. What? Like, who the fuck is voting for this guy? Like, look,
people who think that's an amazing plan.
Like, okay, here's the weird thing. I can even give Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott some credit of being like, well, here's some migrants, blue cities. How are you going to deal with it? Like, okay, like it's a stupid, dumb, like it's also, not only is it a dumb plan, it's also a plan like people used 60 years ago, like fucking disgusting racist segregationists used, right? Mm-hmm. I can at least respect, if you want to use that word, I can at least respect that. Like they're just innocent people. This guy was like, how about we defrost the villains from Demolition Man and throw them into blue cities? That's basically his plan. Like, what the fuck? Like he's Simon Phoenix at that point. Like, oh shit, Jeffrey Dahmer's here. I love that guy. Let's just send him in. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Pull the Mexicans out of cryostasis.
Get them all.
Send them to San Angeles. That's not a real place, sir. I saw it in a movie. It has to be real.
They wore very funny little clothing. Yeah, I just I don't get that. Like that's insane. Like and how do you find out which one? Like, hey man, did you do a lot of murdering?
Well, it's part of their questionnaire when they come in. Like, how many people have you murdered? Like 3.
6?
Oh shit! I wasn't supposed to say anything. God, I gotcha.
Oh man, they got us. How many rapes? 12 rapes. Oh, guess where you're going? You're going to Martha's Vineyard. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, again, I get why conservatives would think that's clever. That's also like really like mustache twirling villainy. Like, like that's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. That alone should disqualify him from ever running for president again. Like that's.
I mean, I could think of like a gajillion things alongside of it that also.
Of course.
Like he's quite literally, again, as savvy as he is as like a media manipulator,
right?
He's quite literally one of the dumbest people in a position of power.
Yeah, no, that I don't have any
one of the absolute stupidest people that's ever held public office.
Yeah. What's the opposite of touche? Agree. I don't have any points to make against that. You're absolutely right. It's wild how savvy he can be in like walking right up to the line and like certain things and like just playing it just like hard enough, but like having like plausible deniability about certain things. But where he's like, why don't we drop a bunch of murderers off? Like, what? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, again, this is the same guy that like let's throw a nuclear missile at a hurricane. That'll show it.
Yeah, that's true. That was not a good one. That was not one of his finer moments.
What was it? Do we need to vacuum the forest or whatever the fuck it is? I can't remember like what his plan was to prevent forest fire.
Yeah, you gotta sweep the floors, man.
That's right. Sweep the forest floor.
What an idiot.
Get the brooms out.
All right, let's talk about the DOJ doing some really good work outside of Trump. Department of Justice charges 47 people with stealing $250 million from the pandemic program meant to provide meals for needy kids. Jesus Christ. According to the department, the scheme was the largest COVID-19 related fraud uncovered by investigators to date. There's so many more. The defendants are facing a range of charges, including conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and paying and receiving illegal kickbacks. So basically, the defendants, prosecutors said, set up a network of shell companies connected to the Minnesota-based nonprofit Feeding Our Future. to exploit the federal child nutrition program. They're basically supposed to provide meals to kids that are from low-income families. They, of course, didn't. They lied. Now, the company, there's a great quote here. The company went from receiving and dispersing approximately $3.4 million in federal funds to sites under its sponsorship in 2019, or under its sponsorship. In 2019, that number jumped to $200 million. These motherfuckers were pocketing all of the money, lying about feeding these kids. They absolutely didn't feed any kids, or very little. They bought real estate in Minnesota, Kenya, Turkey, luxury cars, jewelry. They funded international travel. Yeah, they were doing it up.
Dude, why do these people always find like the worst way possible to devise these schemes?
Yeah, if you're scamming to feed the kids.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, god damn. It's amazing, though.
And I didn't even see the story because the story that was getting all the play over the past week or so was the Brett Favre text messages that came out.
Yeah, talk about that. I only sort of tangentially heard about
it. So basically, like, Brett Favre received a shitload of money from like PPP loan, and it came out, and he was charged with they were trying to recoup some of that money, and it came out that his his program, like, he took money from Mississippi State, essentially, like in the millions of dollars. And there's a text message that came out to one of the people that he's collaborating with that are like, hey, like, there's no way that like the media can track this back and find out where this money came from, right? Like, in doing this.
So like Brett Favre should go to jail, right?
Probably, but he won't because he's white and Brett Favre. So
like that guy should have to give back all of that money, all of it.
Well, I think he has to anyway. Or no, this wasn't even related to PPP. I'm sorry. This is, so basically welfare money to the state of from the state of Mississippi was allocated to him. And it got funneled through, and it got funneled through a nonprofit organization, which the governor was aware of. And eventually Favre used it to build a volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi.
But not for the poor kids who are actually on welfare.
No. Yeah, here's the quote from his text message to Nancy New, who was the executive director of the Mississippi Community Education Center, which is where the money was funneled through. Quote, if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?
Yo, you already have goo gobs of money from playing football. What is like? Wow, being rich is a corrosive, thing for a lot of people. Like, that's amazing that you could have, I assume, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it's Brett Favre. He probably has hundreds of millions of dollars from his career. How much? It was
so embarrassing that the guy that wrote his biography a few years back, which was a generally glowing praise of him, even among like sexual misconduct allegations that were made against him a long time ago, what literally came out on Twitter in the wake of this news is like, hey, I wrote the Brett Favre biography. Don't buy my book.
Wow.
It's like he does not deserve it.
Wow. But again, that's amazing to me. What could possibly possess you to be like, I got 100 million. What if I had 200 million? Like,
it could be because you're a massive piece of shit. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, for all those people who got sacks on Brett Favre when he was playing, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Should have hit harder.
Also, non-coincidentally, Brett Favre, hardcore Republican, big time Trump guy. So
Of course.
Yeah. Because they all run together.
Yeah, well, we should be checking Tom Brady's his work. You probably fuck that guy too. Yikes. All right, let's talk about
but before we get there, just if you're gonna embezzle money, like, just can you not do it through like public help programs and like programs to feed kids and stuff like that. Like, can you at least do it through the normal bullshit embezzlement process that people, go through, like, hedge funds and shit like that? Like, can we do stuff that, rich people do instead of like exploiting public gain?
Yeah, but that's what rich people do.
That's true.
In fairness, like, rich people love fucking over poor people, like, and then being like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you piece of shit. It's like, I did, but you stole all my bootstraps, and then you sold them back to me for $30. What a dick. All right, let's talk about Tish James. New York Attorney General Letitia James filed a sweeping civil suit Wednesday against President Donald Trump, his business, and his 3 dumb eldest kids. It's kind of sad. Tiffany doesn't get chosen for anything.
Doesn't get mentioned. By the way, did you see Bill Barr on CNN talking about this?
Bill Barr?
No. Bill Barr, yes.
Oh, God.
He's back to being a piece of shit. He's like massive overreach by Tish James. I don't see why you had to drag his kids into it. They can't be expected to know what's going on. I'm just like, you do realize like 2 of his kids ran the fucking company that is being accused of fraud, right? Like, you get that? Like, you understand? Also, his kids are like in their 40s or 38 years old in the case of Eric. Like, it's not like they're fucking children. They are grown ass people who can absolutely be held legally accountable.
I mean, that is whiteness 101. Mm-hmm. But you're going after Trump's kids. They're not kids. They're not kids. They're not. They're his offspring, but they ain't fucking children. Like, they're not little kids. Oh, they're raiding the lives and destroying the lives of his children. Are they 5?
Yeah, they're not charging Barron with fraud. Like, right. that might be a stretch, maybe.
Right. That guy's going to be a liberal. He's going to be like Ronald Reagan's son. You watch. Future, that guy's going to be running a podcast like, my dad was a piece of shit, and I'm sorry. Like, the conservatives will hate him, just like they hate Ron Reagan. They fucking hate him. And he's like, yeah, my dad had dementia, guys. Like, for real. They're like, no, he didn't. He's like, no, I was there. Like, at night.
I don't know if you know, I'm literally his son. So.
Yeah, I was literally there.
Yeah,
I was in the White House when he couldn't remember his fucking name. What are you talking about? So yeah, at the news conference, James is seeking to permanently bar the Trumps from conducting business in New York and pursuing $250 million in penalties. The state attorney general's office is also seeking the appointment of an independent monitor to oversee compliance, financial reporting, valuation, and disclosure to one-enders, insurers, and tax authorities at the Trump organization for at least 5 years, a.k.a. her own special master. Boom, motherfucker. At the press conference, Letitia James said, quote, Trump falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to further enrich himself and cheat the system, and repeatedly and persistently manipulated the value of assets to induce banks to lend money to the Trump organization. Look, that's a fact. That's not speculative. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. And like, apparently, like, she hit him up with like mad examples, like in the actual documents. No, it's an inarguable fact. Like, it's quite literally there. Like, they talked about that a number of months ago, or maybe a year ago, on the news. It was like, here was a golf course he bought. It was valued, like, it was previously valued at X. He didn't do anything, and then he submitted that it was worth like 5 times that. And then when it came time around to pay taxes, he devalued it. Didn't make any changes and dropped the value down to shit so that he wouldn't have to pay nearly as much taxes. Like, it's inarguable. It'll be interesting to see what the right wing tries to like ramp up on this and be like, no, that's not true. Like that data is publicly available. Like, and it's been publicly available for over a year. So I don't know. It'll like, oh, he's a genius businessman. Yeah, no, him owning it does not increase the value 5x. Like that's not how valuations work.
Yeah, nor obviously nor is he a genius if the things he was doing that were so smart have now landed him with a fraud charge or a fraud suit against him. Rather, this is a civil suit, not a criminal charge.
Yeah. Well, I guess it is the art of the steal. So best of luck.
Well, and meanwhile, like the investigation findings, like she's going to be referring those onto the U.S. Southern District Attorney's Office and the IRS because she's like that they are the ones who can do criminal charges if they want to against him for this stuff.
Yeah, and if he gets nailed on the civil shit, they're going to go after him criminally. Look, I do like the idea of they can't do any business in New York. That's pretty good. I love. I
mean, Florida's going to welcome them with open arms, but still, like the fact, like getting kicked out of New York, I think would be a massive fucking blow to his ego.
Yes, like what's he going to sell that Trump Tower? Right, like he's got to get rid of that. Right, like
he's going to have to. Well, assuming it doesn't get like repoed by the state as proceeds of a fraudulent enterprise.
Yeah, I just. It'll be interesting to see what he does here, but this is no small thing. So look for this to kick up pretty loudly over the next couple of months.
And boy, I gotta say, like the thing that's great about this is that this happens regardless of what he decides to do in terms of running for president. Like I know that there's still some hairiness with the whole, government document situation if he ever declares and like what's the DOJ gonna do. Tish James don't have to give a fuck about any of that.
Yep. Not at all. And look, ain't nothing to save your ass.
Nope, not from this.
Not from the state. Good. Lindsey Graham, let's talk about
I give him credit. I did not know he was in the habit of helping out Democratic congressional campaigns, but lo and behold.
Okay. Lindsey Graham is a fucking idiot. He's not even an idiot. That's not even fair. Lindsey Graham is not an idiot. Lindsey Graham is a hypocritical piece of shit.
Yeah.
And he's also a liar.
And also an idiot.
I mean, to do this now, it's pretty idiot.
This is really stupid. Like he's either dumb or has some of the poorest political calculus of anyone that I've seen.
I mean, this is the guy who's like, no, I've just never been married because I'm busy. Like, no, they'll believe that. Like, really? Okay. No one believes it. No one.
Yeah.
No one. Just come out.
I mean, again, add this to the pile of like Trump's a kook and like if you don't like Joe Biden, there's something wrong with you and like all the other great Lindsey Graham isms we've had over the past 6 or 7 years.
Yep. It goes back on all of it. GOP Senator Lindsey Graham says abortion is not a states' right issue, weeks after expressing that the states should decide the issue of abortion. And I like how they put them in quotes because that's what he fucking said. So he came out basically last week and he's like, listen, y'all, there should be a 15-week national abortion ban. And Democrats were just like, can you speak into this mic louder, please? You dumb fuck.
Can you say that again? We weren't recording for the first time. Like, can you repeat that? Because we need something for our campaign ads that we have for the next couple weeks.
Don't mind me. I'm just holding a megaphone next to your mouth. And yeah, so he was like, listen, I think that there should be a 15-week abortion ban on a federal level. Like, fuck the states. And like the article title says, he literally a couple weeks ago said that this should be decided by the states and this is a states issue. I'm not even going to pretend to be shocked by this. No one should be shocked. Of course they were going to try a national ban. I didn't think it'd be Lindsey Graham who would try.
It's so weird. And the best part is Marco Rubio's co-sponsoring it. What?
What are you doing?
Like, what are you doing, Marco?
Again, Val Demings is like, okay, like this is what you want, and she's on your ass, dude. She's on your ass. It's bad enough that Roe was overturned that this goes to the states. the idea that you would then come out and before the election, I could see if you were like after and you're like, all right, or I don't know, the day of maybe, like, I don't know. Like I could see after saying like, hey, we're for a national ban now. Like, okay, that's crazy, but I can see that before the race, you're just gonna piss off more Democrats and independents.
Well, and here's the thing: like we all knew that if Republicans got control of one or both chambers of Congress in the election, that they would put up a 15-week national abortion ban. Like they'd hinted at it. Kevin McCarthy alluded to it, saying, "Oh, if we win, like we'd think about considering this and stuff." And it's one thing to like know it. It's a whole different thing to fucking not only say it, but also draft a bill to this
absolutely
effect.
Insane
When you don't have power. Like that's the thing. Like what is he like there? What is the purpose of this? As Lindsey Graham put it, people deserve to know where we stand. Okay, it's a bold move, Cotton.
Yeah,
we'll see how that works out for you.
Yeah, that's
because all you're doing is you're making it harder for people who might vote for you, but very much care about bodily autonomy and the right to choose.
Yeah,
you're making it harder for them to hold their nose and do it. Essentially,
like what the fuck?
And Lindsey Graham's not even running. Like he's not up for re-election. He's just hanging every other Republican out to dry. Because now, if you're running in a contentious race and you're having a debate, where do you stand on Senator Graham's 15-week national abortion ban? What is your position? Right. And you either have to agree with it, which is going to fuck you, disagree with it, which is going to fuck you from a different angle, or give some mealy-mouthed answer about how it should be a state's issue, but you support the blah, 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 and it's going to make you look like an idiot. Like it's not an issue that you can dance around.
I just don't understand why you would do this before the midterms. Like from a political aspect, you're just giving Democrats an absolute fire issue to destroy you with, right? Yeah. And again, the states, like overturning Roe v. Wade was bad enough and people hated it. The vast majority of the country is like over 70%. Absolutely do not agree with it. But to make that argument for the last 30 years, it should be in the states, it should be in the states, it should be in the states, it should be in the states. Why don't you just move to a different state if you don't like it? Like, even if I didn't think you were fucking lying, which I always thought you were lying. But let's say I was naive and I'm like, all right, well, Republicans are men of their word.
Right.
Come on. Right. Let's say I was that fucking naive. Then you turn around and say, no, fuck that. We want a national ban because we do.
Yeah, because federalism's cool until it's not. Till it doesn't work for us.
Yeah,
and it sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst. Who thought of this?
There's another gentleman running in Colorado. Who's the other Colorado senator that he's running against? I can't fucking remember now. It's gonna bug me, but I can't remember. It's Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett, I think, is running again. So he's running, or no, Michael Bennett's an ass. I can't remember. Anyway, Joe O'Dea, who's a Republican, called Graham's bill, quote, reckless and tone deaf.
Yeah, it is. It's incredibly tone deaf.
Yeah.
But, like, again, Georgia GOP Senate nominee, Hershel Walker.
Don't fucking put that out in the ether. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm not a very smart man, but I'm going to try to debate on the debate stage against Raphael Warnock.
October 14th, motherfuckers. Get ready. Don't worry. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I need a stream, man. I just need a stream. Yeah, GOP Senate nominee Hershel Walker says he would back Graham's bill, though he also remarked that the issue should be left to the states. See, that means nothing. You can't say it should be back to the states, but I would also support a federal ban. Like, either you're for it or you're against it. like words have meaning or they don't. So it like this idea of, oh yeah, I would be for it. I mean, I'm for the states. I'm for states' rights. But like now when it's convenient that I could just like run roughshod over everybody, like we should use it. I tell you right now, you try a 15-month abortion ban, dude. You better have both chambers, and you better have the presidency, and it better be a rubber stamp because people are gonna flip the fuck out with you even trying, and they're gonna flip out if you're successful. They will flip.
Did you hear their justification for this? By the way, like why they think it's totally cool to roll out a 15-week ban? Because they said, or Graham said, that it brings us in line with most European countries.
Yeah, I did see that part. Yeah.
Forgetting, of course, the fact that, hey, well, if that's how you feel about healthcare, how about we get in line with most European countries when it comes to, socialized medicine and guaranteed time off and extended maternity leave and all this
other guns, things like that. Yeah, no.
Weirdly, this is the singular issue that it's important for us to line up with.
Right. 99% of the time, it's fuck Europe. Like leave those savages to their croissants. But they agree with us. Okay. Like and some of them do, right? I was looking at a map. I mean, it is large. The larger part of Europe definitely is like some level of like you can get it on request, but as this map says, like gestational limits vary, right?
Yeah. And again, I'm pretty sure that regardless of term, if the health or well-being of the mother was at risk, then they would absolutely let them do that.
Yeah, and look, Graham's bill does that. It has those cutouts too.
Mm.
Oh,
okay.
It has them. Will they stay? I don't know. That's the thing. Okay. I don't believe Lindsey Graham because he already said that he was. I mean, there are many lies that Lindsey Graham has told, but I mean, this is the same guy who says, "Well, if the Democrats had a guy, who was nominated, ready to be on the Supreme Court, I would vote. We would definitely not hold that up.
Use my words against me.
You can use my words against me. We literally are. Here they are. You fucking liar. So." Like he's lied about that. He's lied about saying that it should only be a states' rights issue. He then immediately turns around and does this. Like he's not a person to believe. Now him saying, "Hey, these carve-outs exist." Sure, they exist until they have the votes, and then they're like, "Nah, full ban."
I would, and I don't know if this data exists, but I would love to know the average, term, the average how far along in a term is. For most abortions,
it's pretty low, man. It's. I would imagine that it would be. It's not very many weeks. It might be over 15, but it's not very.
I don't even think it would be, because most women usually find out by the time you get to like 8 or 10 weeks at the latest.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're usually making that call fairly quickly. Yeah, and I love, and again, this is a bad faith argument that they make all the time. And I love how they're like, we have to protect all these babies that are being ripped out of wombs at 30 weeks. And I'm just like, show me where that's happening.
Yeah.
Show me where that's happening unless the mother's life is in serious jeopardy.
And look, they say they care about that. They don't actually.
Of course. Once I said it's a bad faith argument because they don't give a fuck, but it's also not happening. I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong about this, most doctors won't perform third trimester abortions.
No.
Unless it's an extreme circumstance.
Right. And I think that's all of them. All of them. There's no woman waiting that long and being like, okay now. No, dude. Third trimester, you're fucking huge at that point. That's not a thing. It's just no, it's bullshit, and it's very fake. It's a very fake argument. Let's see. These are UK abortion stats. But let's just look at I'm just going to say the UK. Not as a 1-to-1, but just a couple of stats which are interesting. Overall abortion rate is 16.7 per 1,000 women ages 16 to 44.
So less than less than 1%. No,
Yeah,
it's more than 1%. It's like 1.6.
1.6% of women have had abortions, basically. Less than 1% of abortions are performed for girls under 16. 0.4% of abortions were performed for women over the age of 45. Let's see. Women are most likely to have an abortion at age 20 when the abortion rate peaks at 29.1 per 1,000, so 2.9%. Abortion rates increase slightly for women over 25. Yeah. So that's just a couple of like UK abortion statistics, which are probably line up fairly well with the US is my guess. Maybe not the like those raw numbers, but the like the ages and things like that probably do align. But
I might even think that those are higher than US rates because it's so fucking hard to get an abortion in half the goddamn states in this country.
Yeah, well that's true.
So
I am curious about like when actually like when do they actually do it?
Right. And again, I don't know if that data exists. I don't know if it's truly collected. It would be interesting to know just because that I feel like that would shut up a lot of these fucking arguments that get made.
It won't.
Oh, well, I mean, but at least you can know that they're completely baseless. And again, like also are those percentages counting people that have to get the procedure done as a result of a miscarriage or, as a result of stuff like that.
Right.
Important data to parse out.
Yeah. I saw a conservative woman say that a D&C is not an abortion. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, you know what? You guys don't understand anything about science. Why are we listening to any of you? You just want to exclude it so that you can act like the one that you got doesn't count. That's what that means. Like, it is an abortion. Like, it is. Or I don't know. Like, what would you call it? What's its own thing? No, okay. No, it's not. In 2017, here you go. In 2017, about 39% of abortions were conducted with pills or medication. These are generally taken up to 10 weeks after the first day of the last period. So there you go. So roughly somewhere around 10 weeks, right? 10 to 12 weeks is probably that's
or 8 to 12 if we're being
8 to 12,
precise,
right?
I would say. Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's not a lot of this. There's not a lot of this nonsense. Also, if that's true, then putting this 15-week abortion ban, you're not really stopping much in the ways of abortions. Like,
yeah,
you're really not. You're picking this arbitrary date, and then that's why I don't trust that date. By the way, that's why I don't trust the 15 weeks, because once they figure out that, oh shit, people are still having abortions and they're just having it at 11 weeks or 12 weeks, well, what can we do about it? The only thing they're going to do is like full lockdown.
Yeah.
There's no way that if they have the votes that they're going to go, all right, cool, we got the votes, let's keep it at 15 weeks. Because like, again, if you believe that this is murder, that this is against God, if you believe that, then why are you waiting 15 weeks? Like, why are you?
I don't know why that struck me the way it did.
That's how pastors say it. These are facts. But like, then you have to own the fact that you are allowing all of these abortions to get under the radar. God doesn't like losing on a technicality. The fuck? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, if you believe that it is evil and it's murder, then you like logic would state that you would want to stop it, period. Like, do you think murdering children is wrong? Yes, I think murdering children is wrong. Would you allow someone to stab them 7 times before murdering them? No, you'd be like, that's to stop violence against kids. Like, that's what you would do if you believe that it's truly that bad.
It's a complete from the moment that Roe was overturned. Like, it's a complete non-winning issue for them, and I don't understand why they continue to drive this into the ground. Like, are they just tone deaf to national opinion on this issue, or do they just not believe it? Like, I don't understand why any political consultant would allow them to run with this, because to do so is malpractice. Like, unless you just completely don't believe the polls that are conducted.
Well, I think it's I think that they live in a massive bubble. I mean, we all live in bubbles, right? You know, I'm not going to pretend like we don't. But I think they don't even hear anything. I mean, if you read that article, Lindsey Graham is like, I don't care what's happening in California. I care what's happening in South Carolina.
Cool, but you want to legislate for Californians?
Yeah, the irony.
If you don't care, then why the fuck are you even saying anything?
Right. Like, then fucking let South Carolina do their thing and leave California out of it. I mean, I think anyone in South Carolina should be able to get an abortion if they want. But if you're talking about a states' rights issue, which you backed, then why don't you say consistent? He's like, I am consistent. No, you're consistently lying, sure, but you're not consistent. Like, that's bullshit.
I mean, truthfully, I guess they have to, because if they're worried that people are going to migrate out of the state by enacting these draconian laws, then, you know, I guess you have to make them draconian everywhere. So, and then that way it's on a level playing field. Again, no,
but you know what? You know what, Brad? I think we just figured out why Lindsey Graham is doing this. I'm dead serious. Think about all the businesses that were like, you know what? Cool. If your state fucking bans this shit, we're out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Lindsey Graham's thought process is, here's how we stop these businesses from leaving these states. Well, if it's fucked everywhere, where are you going to go?
Right.
You think he gives a fuck about this? He doesn't really give a fuck about this issue. No, he doesn't care. That's why he's playing politics with it. Oh, I'll give you 15 weeks. Oh, I'll give you 12. Oh, like, we'll see. Like, if you truly thought this was a crucial issue, maybe your only move would be full abortion ban, unless it's the health of the mother type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No amount of weeks. Why would you give them more time to have abortions if you thought it was abhorrent? That doesn't make any sense, except for you're playing politics. That's it. Hey, don't worry, ladies. You can still get those abortions at 10 weeks. You're fine. What the fuck? I thought you thought it was bad because of God or whatever. Well, God will understand. Oh, really? Is that how the Bible worked? No, shut up. That's stupid. So, it makes no sense. So, I like, as you say that, I wouldn't be surprised if that's his thought from a financial perspective. Like,
yeah,
then they can help businesses stay in South Carolina or whatever other.
I mean, it's got to be a little scary, because like you have like, you know, like Gen Con, for example. Gen Con's the biggest gaming convention, it's board game convention that takes place in Indianapolis every year. And in the wake of laws that they were passing around abortion access, the Gen Con's like, you know, when our contract's up in a couple of years, we might look for another city to hold this convention, which brings in, you know, fucking 200,000 attendees over 3 days and shit like that.
Right. Yeah.
So and Indy's a convention town. Like if they lose major conventions, Indy don't have much after that.
Yeah. So it very well could be just a financial aspect, which, like, as you say that, I'm like, that doesn't actually sound that crazy to me. Like, I could totally see Lindsey Graham being like, hey, this is how we keep all the businesses. We fuck everybody over just to get the money.
Yeah, and to stop the exodus of woke corporate America from leaving all the red states.
Yeah, but we need their woke money. Like, yeah, fuck
right.
you, dude.
Yeah, we hate wokeism unless it's paying our bills. So
wokeism. Oh my God. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.